Welcome to today's deep dive. We've got a really incredible topic today.
Oh, absolutely. It is a good one.
Yeah, we are pulling from this comprehensive document called The Lost Art of Savile Row. And we're pairing that with some really fascinating insights inspired by the fashion knowledge platform Apparelizer.
Right, which really helps contextualize the history.
Exactly. So our mission today is to explore how this one single street in London created a method of clothing production that was just so intensely meticulous. I mean, it dressed history's elite for centuries.
And strangely enough, it now offers this radical, highly sustainable alternative to our modern world of fast fashion.
Yeah, which is wild to think about. But to really grasp what we're talking about here, I want you to imagine for just a second that you are hungry.
Okay, I'm with you.
You pull up to a drive-through, you order a number 3, and someone hands you a lukewarm pre-made burger in a paper wrapper.
Right, classic fast food.
Exactly. It's fine. It does the job. But now I want you to imagine an entirely different scenario.
Yeah.
You walk into this beautiful room and a world-class chef sits down right across from you.
Oh, wow. Okay, quite the upgrade.
Right. And they ask you about your favorite flavors, what textures you love, how much spice you can handle. And then they go into the kitchen and cook a meal that is perfectly, meticulously tailored to your exact palate.
That is a massive difference.
It is. That incredible contrast between the off-the-rack drive-through burger and the magical, completely customized chef experience is basically what we are unpacking today.
What's fascinating here is that when we talk about traditional tailoring, we aren't just talking about fashion.
No.
No, not at all. We are looking at an enduring philosophy of quality and individuality. It's a system of creation that has survived for over 200 years.
Which is practically an eternity in the fashion world.
Exactly. And it's survived because it fundamentally respects the wearer. It doesn't treat them as a disposable data point in a mass production line.
That makes total sense. Now, we hear the term bespoke thrown around all the time today, right?
Constantly.
Yeah.
Bespoke software, bespoke cocktail.
Yeah, bespoke marketing plans, you name it. But to understand the true weight of the term and how this specific type of suit combats modern fast fashion, we really have to look at where it was actually invented.
Right, because it has a very specific birthplace. It's a historic street in the Mayfair district of London called Savile Row.
Savile Row. And this goes way back, doesn't it?
It does. The tradition stretches back to early European guilds, but by the early 1800s, this single street had become the absolute epicenter of the craft.
Wow, early 1800s.
Yeah. And the word bespoke was actually coined right there in those tailoring houses.
Wait, really? I always thought it was just a general Old English word.
No, it had a very literal meaning in those shops. It meant that a specific bolt of cloth had been spoken for by a client.
Ah, spoken for. Bespoke. That
Yeah.
is brilliant. So it isn't just taking an existing garment and, like, hemming the sleeves a little bit.
Not at all. It is a piece of clothing birthed into existence specifically for one individual human body.
A complete blank canvas.
Exactly, a blank canvas. But the real twist in this history is where the foundational techniques of luxury menswear actually came from.
Right, because this blew my mind when I was reading the source material.
Yeah, they didn't evolve in royal drawing rooms or high society galas. They came directly from military uniform design.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I read that and it completely stopped me in my tracks.
It is definitely a surprising origin story.
It really is. You think of luxury civilian menswear, the delicate silk linings, the perfectly draped, lightweight wool, the sheer elegance of it all.
Very refined, very polished.
Exactly. And you definitely do not think of the mud and the blood and the raw utility of a 19th century battlefield.
No, those two worlds seem completely opposed.
Right. So why on earth would military officers be the driving force behind highly specific custom tailoring?
Well, it really comes down to the extreme physics and psychology of warfare at the time. A military officer of that era had two critical, non-negotiable requirements:
Okay, what were they?
immense durability under severe duress and a commanding physical presence. Tailors were tasked with engineering garments that offered rigorous, almost armor-like structure.
But they still had to fight in them.
Exactly. So they had to offer that structure while simultaneously allowing for incredible freedom of movement.
Function dictating form. I love that. I was actually looking at the notes on waist suppression, the way a traditional jacket tapers in tightly at the middle.
Yes, a very classic Savile Row silhouette.
Right, and I always assumed that was purely an aesthetic choice just to make the officers look trim and, athletic, but you're saying there's an actual tactical, combat-related reason for tampering a jacket.
Oh, absolutely. Think about a cavalry officer on horseback.
Okay, yeah.
You cannot have loose, billowing fabric catching on your gear, your saddle, or your weaponry. It's dangerous.
Oh, wow. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, so the waist suppression kept the uniform tight to the core for maximum mobility. At the same time, the chest of the jacket was cut with extra fullness.
To make them look bigger.
Partially, but mostly, it allowed the lungs to fully expand during heavy physical exertion without putting stress on the buttons.
That is just brilliant engineering. So if you go to your closet right now and look at the shoulders of your favorite blazer, you are actually looking at an echo of 19th century military engineering.
You absolutely are. Structured shoulders were designed because an officer needed to project absolute authority from a distance across a completely chaotic battlefield.
So they literally padded them to look more imposing.
Yes, tailors used layers of horsehair canvas and padding to build up the shoulder, creating this imposing, broad silhouette.
Horsehair canvas. That's wild. And then there are the seams. The source material mentioned that the military demanded hand-finished seams, which is a detail that still defines Savile Row today.
Yes, the hand-stitched seam is crucial.
But how does sewing something by hand make it better for combat than a machine? I mean, I would think a machine stitch is tighter and much stronger.
It's a common misconception. Machine stitches are highly rigid. They lock the fabric very firmly in place.
Which sounds good for durability, right?
You'd think so, but a master tailor sewing a seam by hand naturally leaves these microscopic variations in the thread tension.
Oh, because they're human, so it's not perfectly uniform.
Exactly. And that subtle variation acts almost like a shock absorber. When an officer swings a sword, or, when a modern client reaches for a cab, the hand-sewn thread flexes and stretches with the body.
Instead of just snapping under the pressure, that is fascinating.
Right. Add in deep functional pockets for carrying dispatches or ammunition, and you have a heavily engineered tactical garment. And that garment seamlessly translated into the ultimate symbol of civilian elegance.
So they essentially master this indestructible, imposing military tailoring, and people outside the military start paying attention.
Naturally. The perfection achieved for those officers caught the eye of the world's most powerful people, which really ushered in the golden age of Savile Row.
When was this golden age?
By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, this street was dressing British monarchs, international diplomats, Hollywood stars, and massive business magnates.
Basically anyone who is anyone.
Exactly. They all flocked there because that military-derived silhouette projected power and sophistication in a boardroom or on a red carpet just as effectively as it did on a battlefield.
But to deliver that level of perfection, the tailors had to develop a process that is, quite frankly, a marathon.
It really is a marathon.
The source material outlines how a suit is actually made, and it completely upends how we think about buying clothes today. Let's walk through what actually happens when you enter one of these tailoring houses. Because you don't even see a tape measure at first, do you?
Not at all. The journey begins with a deep, almost invasive consultation.
Invasive how? Like a doctor's appointment.
Sort of. The tailor sits down with you to understand the life this suit will live. They ask about your daily routine. Do you sit at a desk all day?
Because if you do, what does that change?
It means the trousers need more room in the thigh so they don't wear out. They'll ask if you fly frequently, which requires a heavier, crease-resistant wool. They even ask if you run hot or cold.
Wow, so they are assessing your entire lifestyle before they even look at a fabric swatch?
Precisely. And then finally, they break out the tape measure.
Right, but we aren't talking about checking your waist and your inseam so they can grab a medium or a large from the back room. They are taking dozens of highly specific measurements.
Dozens. They are mapping your entire physical topography. A master cutter is observing the natural slope of your individual shoulders.
Because nobody is perfectly symmetrical, right?
Exactly. Most people have one shoulder slightly lower than the other. They're looking at your posture, too. Do you slouch? Or do you stand rigidly straight? They measure the natural arch of your back.
It's like topographical mapping for the human body.
It is. All of these eccentricities of the human body are documented so they can be seamlessly accommodated.
Which leads to the drafting phase, where a completely unique paper pattern is drawn specifically for you. I think of this like architectural blueprinting.
That's a great way to look at it.
It's a difference between buying a prefab shed from a hardware store and commissioning an architect to build a custom house. You know, a shed is just dropped on your lawn.
Right. It is what it is.
But an architect tracks the angle of the sun, they test the soil, and they build the house around the way you actually live.
And just like that architect testing the soil, the tailor is testing how the raw wool reacts. Once that unique paper blueprint is finalized, we move to the cutting table,
And this is all done by hand.
entirely by hand, using heavy traditional shears. There are no lasers, no mass production stamping machines cutting 50 suits at once.
It's just a person and some scissors.
A single craftsman, a piece of chalk, and a pair of shears on a massive wooden table. The margin for error is essentially zero.
So after they cut the fabric, they don't just sew it together and hand it to you, right? I read the fittings are where the magic really happens. You try on what is essentially a skeleton of the suit, the basted garment.
Yes, the basted garment.
Yeah.
It's held together with loose, temporary white thread. It has no lining, no buttons, no finished edges.
Sounds kind of rough.
It is. You put it on, and the cutter literally rips seams open and pins them back together while the jacket is draping over your body.
Wait, they rip it open while you're wearing it?
Yes, they are sculpting the wool to your frame in real time. This requires several fittings over a period of weeks or even months.
Weeks or months just for fittings.
Exactly. Finally, it goes to the finishing tailors, who spend dozens of hours hand-stitching the buttonholes, pressing the wool with heavy irons to shrink and shape the cloth, and making those final, microscopic adjustments.
The dedication required from these craftsmen is just staggering. You aren't just walking into a store and swiping a credit card. You are entering into an intimate collaboration.
It really is a partnership.
You are actively participating in the creation of a masterpiece.
And going through that creates a profound psychological shift. You value the garment on a completely different level because you understand the sheer volume of human labor and expertise woven into every single stitch.
It is incredibly romantic. It really is. But I have to play devil's advocate here.
What do you do?
Because we are living in the 21st century. We are living in the era of sweatpants, remote work, and ordering a synthetic blend t-shirt on our phones that gets delivered the next morning for $5.
The convenience era.
Right. I can go to a department store right now and buy a decent-looking suit off the rack for $200. So if it takes months to make a Savile Row suit and it costs thousands of dollars, how on earth does a 200-year-old street survive today's modern crisis?
It's a very fair question.
They must be staring down the barrel of extinction.
They are definitely facing incredibly stiff headwinds. The modern challenges are existential. Fast fashion has completely rewired consumer expectations.
They just expect everything instantly now.
Instantly and cheaply. It offers ultimate convenience, rock-bottom prices, and it actively trains us to view clothing as entirely disposable.
Yeah, you buy a shirt for a party, wear it twice, it shrinks or falls apart in the wash, and you throw it in the trash without a second thought.
On top of that throwaway culture, you have drastically changing workplace dress codes.
True. Nobody wears ties to the office anymore.
Exactly. The rise of casual office environments, particularly post-pandemic, means the demand for the classic, formal business suit has plummeted.
And what about the tailors themselves?
That's the other big issue. There's a severe decline in the craftsmanship pipeline itself. Master tailors spend years, often a full decade, just learning the fundamentals of their trade.
A 10-year apprenticeship.
Yes. There are simply fewer apprentices willing to endure that kind of grueling, low-paying apprenticeship when the modern world moves at breakneck speed.
So how are they evolving? Because Savile Row isn't a museum yet. They're still actively cutting cloth.
They are surviving by listening to the modern consumer while fiercely guarding their core philosophy. They were adapting their actual offerings.
Meaning they don't just make three-piece banking suits anymore.
Exactly. We are seeing a massive rise in bespoke casual wear. Custom safari jackets, unlined linen blazers, high-end smart casual garments.
Oh, that makes sense.
You don't just go to Savile Row for a tuxedo anymore. You might go for a perfectly tailored, everyday tweed jacket you wear with jeans.
That sounds amazing, actually. And the source material also notes they are bringing technology into the mix, which feels like a wild plot twist for a street that prides itself on chalk and heavy shears.
It does seem contradictory at first.
Right, but insights from platforms like Apparelizer highlight how some tailoring houses are adopting digital measurements and virtual online consultations.
Yes, to reach global clients who can't physically fly to London for multiple fittings.
Which obviously expands their reach exponentially.
It does. But the core challenge remains. How do you convince someone to make that significant financial investment in a world overflowing with cheap clothes?
Yeah, how do you justify the price tag?
This is where the conversation fundamentally shifts from pure luxury to profound sustainability.
Okay, so what does this all mean? Are you saying the antidote to the massive environmental disaster of the modern fast fashion industry, the overflowing landfills, the microplastics, is going back to 19th century bespoke tailoring?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
The irony is completely staggering. Technology and the fast fashion mentality initially threatened to wipe Savile Row off the map. But a modern, desperate craving for ethical consumption and sustainability is actually saving it. It
Right.
is the ultimate manifestation of quality over quantity.
I want to talk about the math on that because $5,000 for a suit sounds completely unsustainable for the average person. But the
Yeah.
source material is very clear about this.
The cost per wear ratio.
Exactly. A fast fashion suit might last you 2 or 3 years if you are incredibly lucky, but a bespoke suit lasts decades.
Multiple decades.
Right.
And there are hard mechanical reasons for that longevity. First, the premium materials. The heavy, natural wools and silks are inherently more durable than synthetic polyester blends.
That makes sense.
Second, the superior construction methods.